If you're not familiar with Python loops, make sure to check out my two videos about the while and for loop. Hello everyone, welcome to TechScent, and let's continue with this Python tutorial. We'll be putting our skills to work on some exercises on loops in Python, and throughout these exercises, I'll be explaining three keywords you may not be familiar with. Now, let's start with a warm-up. Print the multiplication table of a given number. Make sure to pause this video and do it by yourself. I'll assume that you did it by yourself, so let me do it in front of you right now. First, I'm gonna declare a variable called x, and I'm gonna store inside of it an integer input. So input, that means I'm converting my input to an integer, enter a number. Then I'm gonna use a for loop, so for I in range 11, and when I say 11, that means from 0 to 10 because 11 is excluded. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna print I multiplied by x. Let's see what we will get. First, I'll get a prompt and I'll say 2, and we got the multiplication table of 2. So at first, I is 0, 0 multiplied by 2 is 0, we got it over here. I then is 1, 1 multiplied by 2 is 2, I will become 2 next, and 2 multiplied by 2 is 4, and so on until 10. 2 multiplied by 10 is 20, and the loop will stop. Now let's start with the first exercise. It says display the elements of the list that has odd indexes. So let's do it right now. Now to generate the sample list that I showed you earlier, I will use the range function. So I'll say lst equal list range from 1 to 20. What I'm saying here is create a range of numbers from 1 to 20. 20 is excluded, so I'll get a range of numbers from 1 to 19. Then I'll convert it into a list. Then I'm gonna create a empty list called lst2, and I'll store inside it the elements of lst1 that has odd indexes. Right now we need a for loop, so I'll say for I in range len lst, and I'll explain why later. Next, I'm gonna specify a condition. I'll say if I mod 2 different than 0, what I'm gonna do then, I'm gonna append the element to lst2 by using the append function. So lst2 dot append lst index I, and right now let me explain the code. First, I set for I in range len list. The length of my list should be 20. First, I will be 0. If 0 mod 2 different than 0, well, it's not, so this expression evaluate false. I will become 1. If 1 mod 2 different than 0, yes, lst2.append lst index 1, that means the second element inside of my lst, which should be 1. And same for the others. So if I print the first lst and then print lst number 2, what we should get is this is the first lst and this is the second lst, which contains the elements of lst number 1 that are at odd indexes. Index 1, which has number 2, we have it over here. Index 2, no. Index 3, we have it over here, the number 4, and so on for the others. I hope you got it correctly, and if you have another method, make sure to share it with us in the comment section. Let's go to exercise number 2. It says count the number of occurrence of every number in a list and then store them in a dictionary. But we need to use a while loop. Instead of writing this list out by your own, make sure to visit the description down below and copy paste it from there. First, we need a dictionary. I'll call it dico and set it as an empty dictionary. Then what I'll be needing is a counter, so I equal to 0, and I'll explain why later. So I'll say while I less than len lst. Next, I'm gonna mention my dictionary name and use the update function. Then I'll say lst index I colon lst dot count lst index I. Then I'm gonna increment I by 1, and let me explain my code. The length of my list is 12. I is 0, 0 less than 12, true. When I said dico.update, that means I'm modifying my empty dictionary. What I said inside is, I said I want to set the key as lst index I, and I is equal to 0, so lst index 0, we have 12 as the key over here. Then we have lst.count, which will count the number of occurrence of lst index 0, which is 12. In my case, 12 appeared 2 times, so we should get first 12 and 2. And we'll do the same thing for the others. Why? Because I'll be incrementing I by 1. So at the next iteration, 1 less than 12, yes. lst index 1, 2, lst.count lst index 1, which is 2. It appeared 3 times, so we should get 2 as a key, and its value should be 3. 12 appeared 2 times, 2 appeared 3 times, and so on for the others. Exercise number 3. It says display the elements of a list in a new list following these conditions. Display numbers that are divisible by 2. Stop the loop if the number is greater than 100. If the number is greater than 50, skip it and go to another number. First, let me create a new list called lst2 and set it to an empty list. Right now we need a for loop, so I'll say for I in lst. First, the exercise said if a number is greater than 100, we need to stop the loop. So I will say a condition. If I greater than 100, I need to stop the loop. But how to do that? Well, we use the break keyword. So when you say break, it means it will break off the loop. It won't continue the iteration. It doesn't mean it stops all the program, it only stopped the loop. Next, the exercise said if a number is greater than 50, I need to continue to another number. So I'll say elif I greater than 50, and I'll use the continue keyword, so I'll say continue. Next, the exercise said if the number is an even number, I should append it to the lst2. Well, I'll say elif I mod 2 equal to 0. I'll use the append function to append it to my lst2, so I'll say append I. And right now let me explain the continue keyword. Well, in my list we have 66 as greater than 50. First, it will evaluate false for this one. It will go to this elif 66 greater than 50 true. When Python reads this continue keyword, it won't go to this statement. Instead, it will stop and jump to the next number. So we have 79. 79 is less than 100, so this condition evaluates false. Elif 79 is greater than 50, true. Continue, that means it will stop and jump to the next number, and so on. 12, 6, 34, 32, 22, and 46. So, again, the break keyword breaks out of the loop. That means it will stop the loop. As you can see, Python definitely didn't go through these numbers because 101 is greater than 100, so Python broke out of the loop. In this condition, when I said I mod 2, that means I divide by 2. If the remainder of this division is 0, that means an even number, I'll append it to my lst number 2, which means add it to this list. The next exercise says store the values of a dictionary inside a list without using the .values function to do that. Then remove all duplicates from the list. We have the sample list and the expected output, so let's go to work. You'll find this dictionary down in the description. Now let's store the values of this dictionary in a list. First, let me create a list, so lst is an empty list. Then I'm going to use a for loop. For I in dico, I will say lst.append dico index I. So what it will do is, first I will be Jan, which stands for January. When I say dico index Jan, that means its value is 23, so it will append 23, and so on for the other elements. Let me first print the list, so print lst. Right now I need to remove the duplicates. To do that, I'm gonna first iterate through my list, so I'll say for I in lst. Then I'm gonna use a condition, and I'll use the count function to count the number of occurrence of a number. So I'll say if lst.count I is greater than 1, so I'll remove it. I'll say lst.remove I. Let me first print my list, then explain. Print lst, and let us see what we will get. First we have this list, then we have this list without the duplicates. So as you can see, there is no duplicates, all unique numbers. So what this for loop did is, it looped inside this list that contains all the values of my dictionary, then it counted I. First I will be 23, so it counted the number of occurrence of 23, it appeared 2 times, so it will remove this 23. Let me teach you the third keyword, which is pass. So if I say else pass, so what this else statement means is, if this condition above evaluate false, it will go to the else statement, and when Python read pass, that means there's no code there or just ignore it. That's what pass means. And the last exercise wants us to print a pattern of asterisk sign. So let's do it. Definitely we will be needing a nested for loop. So I'll start with the first for loop. I'll say for I in range 6. That means from 0 to 5 because 6 is excluded. Then I'm gonna use another for loop. I will say for G in range I plus 1, and I will print the asterisks. Well, we got them on a different line. So what I'll do is I'll use this AND keyword, which will tell Python to not go to a new line. Let us see right now. It put them all on the same line. But I don't want them all on the same line. So I'll say this print function. When I say a print function without anything inside of it, that means skip a new line. That's all. So when this for loop finishes, it will skip a new line. Let's see what we'll evaluate right now. We have the first pattern completed. I'm gonna also use a nested for loop, but this time we'll start backwards. That means we will start by 6 asterisk sign on the first line, and at the last line we'll have only 1 asterisk sign. For X in range, I'll say 6, 0, minus 1. This last value is the step, and I am decrementing each time X. Then I'm gonna mention the second for loop. So I'll say for Z in range, what I will say is X, 0, also minus 1. And then I'm gonna print the asterisk sign, followed by the end keyword to not skip a line. And when this for loop finishes, I want to skip a line. So I'll say print function empty. And we got the pattern down below. Now let me explain the code. First, X will start at 6. Then it will jump to the next for loop. Z will be first 6. It will print the asterisk sign one time. Then 6 minus 1 is 5. It will print it another time. And then it will print it 6 times until it arrives to 0 and stop. This for loop will terminate. We'll skip a new line, and X right now became 5 because 6 minus 1 is 5, and so on for the loop that comes after. That's all the program, and let's see what we got as a pattern. We got this beautiful shaped pattern. Alright, that is it for the top 5 exercises to work with loops. Thanks for watching today's video. This is Texcent, and I will see you in the next one.